Hello, this is Keith, welcoming you to the 1951st edition of the Enfield Talking newspaper, Dateline the 1st of May 2014. The readers this week are Janet, Sally and Keith, with Robin on the controls. The items that we will be reading come from our local newspapers, the Enfield Gazette and Advertiser and the Enfield Independent, and are their copyright. Our title music is Country Rock Polka, composed by Pat Prilly, Ferdinand Bouillon, Harry Breur, and performed by Jean-Jacques Perry, and is used with his kind permission. Local stories include dramatic blaze at town centre flats and worst school truancy figures in the capital. First of all, the special news items this week. The Enfield Macular Disease Support Group meets on the second Wednesday of every month from 10 a.m. to 12 noon at the Trinity Church Hall, Gentleman's Row, Enfield EN2 6AN. The meetings are open to anyone affected by central vision loss, and carers are welcome as well. For further details, please contact Alan Newson on 020 8886 5659. That's Alan Newson on 020 886 5659. The Home Library Service is part of Enfield Libraries and provides a delivery service to people living in the borough who are unable to visit a branch library due to age, mobility, disability or their caring responsibilities. We visit each of our members every 4 weeks. The service is free and will tailor it to your taste. For visually impaired people, we can provide books in large print or recorded books on CD or cassette. We can also bring music on CD or films on DVD for people with some vision. Members are free to reserve particular items. If you'd like to join the Home Library Service or know someone who would, please call 01992 716 010 and we will arrange for the Community Access Librarian to visit you. That's 01992 716 010. If you're experiencing any problems receiving your Enfield Talking newspaper, please phone Diane de Jersey on 020 8805 6578. She is your listener's representative and she will be pleased to help you. That's Diane de Jersey on 020 8805 6578. Now Janet will read the first item of local news.
More than 50 firefighters battled a blaze in a block of flats in the heart of Enfield town on Saturday afternoon. Shoppers could see the smoke from the blaze, which tore through the 9th floor of Tower Point in Sydney Road just before 4 p.m. No one was hurt in the inferno, which damaged half of the 9th floor flat, with 3 adults and 2 children escaping from the flat unharmed. London Fire Brigade said the cause of the blaze was thought to be accidental. 8 firefighters raced to the scene and the blaze was brought under control in just over an hour. Crews remained at the site until 10:30 p.m. Katie Davies, who lives on the 7th floor, was at home with her windows open when she heard the fire brigade arrive. "We have 3 lifts in the block and the fire brigade are often here because of them. But this time they were running with their hoses," she said. "I decided to grab my bag and keys, and by the time I left my flat, there were 2 firefighters on my floor who asked me to leave. It was all very calm. We couldn't see the fire from out the front, which that probably helped with the lack of panic, whereas people driving around Enfield could probably see the building on fire." Mick Sayer, a station manager for the London Fire Brigade, said, "Firefighters did an excellent job to get this under control quickly. About 20 people were evacuated from the surrounding flats due to the smoke. Others stayed inside their flats, which was safer than attempting to escape, which could have been risky due to the smoke and firefighting equipment. Living in a flat is not more dangerous than living in a house, but it's important to know what your fire plan is and how you'd escape if a fire did break out."
Parents have been warned not to take their children out of school during term time after new figures revealed Enfield has the highest number of school truancies in the capital. Statistics from the Department for Education show that as of 2012-13, pupils were absent from school 2,097 times, the highest of all London boroughs by more than 200 incidents. However, figures did reveal that there had been a decrease from 2,528 in 2009/10, a fall of 17%. Conversely, this is the worst improvement of any London borough, with the average fall in truancies 36%. Enfield Borough Councillor Aoife Orhan, Cabinet Member for Children and Young People, admitted the council was concerned by the high number. She said, "We are of course concerned by these figures, and it is not something we take lightly. Children missing school is a major issue, and we have implemented a robust strategy to try and cut down on the number of unauthorised absentees." Councillor Orhan also revealed that numbers tended to peak around term breaks and holidays, and that parents must understand the importance of their children not missing school. She said, "We can see that there are peaks, either slightly before or a half term or just after it, when families have gone away and their child hasn't returned to school for the first day back. It is fundamental that children have justifiable reasons when they can't attend school, because missing the lessons can be crucial." The councillor also said the council would be getting tough with persistent absentees. She added, "I will be asking for every school to provide figures of authorised and non-authorised absentees, and we will be conducting an internal investigation. Our schools have been able to provide a lot of evidence about who is not attending, and we believe next year's figures will be much improved once persistent offenders are identified." Enfield North MP Nick Dubois welcomed the news of the reduction in truancy, but believes more needs to be done to tackle the problem. He said, "I am pleased that rates are down by 17%, but as the rest of London has shown, we can do more. I want to see the council get behind this initiative and support schools that are trying to make a difference for our children's education." Education Secretary Michael Gove said, "There is no excuse for skipping school. We have taken action to reduce absence by increasing fines and encouraging schools to address the problem earlier."
During the next 2 weeks, the Enfield Advertiser and Gazette will be featuring the campaign objectives of all the parties which are fielding candidates for the local government elections taking place on Thursday the 22nd of May, providing they agree to be included. This week we have reports on 5 independent candidates, and the first of these is Kostas Georgiou. The business leader is striving to be elected in an effort to halt traffic changes, which he says will sound the death knell of businesses throughout the borough. Mr Georgiou, 66, of Broomfield Avenue, is standing in Palmer's Green. The father of 2 has spent 19 years at the helm of the Green Lane Business Association, and is adamant that the attempt to make the borough bike-friendly will be disastrous for traders. The current proposals, which were put forward by Enfield Council as part of its Mini Holland bid to secure £30 million worth of cycle funding, include removing on-street parking along green lanes. At the moment, we have 85 pay and display parking spaces along green lanes, and they're always full, said Mr Georgiou. If you take those away, no one is going to come here, as no one will be able to park near any of the shops. Times are tough for traders at the moment, and the council needs to recognise that. Mr Georgiou fears if more voices opposing changes to parking and traffic flow are not heard in the chamber, then the council will simply force through unpopular changes. The Mini Holland proposal document, currently on the council website, is 100 pages long, and not once does it mention traders, he added. The council says it will only start consulting after the elections, but we want to do it now. He also wants to introduce 30 minutes of free parking in green lanes, actively discourage betting shops from colonising the area, and work to attract a wider variety of shops.
This is one from Helen Osman. The online community forum founder is hoping to be elected on her staunch objections to current proposals contained in Enfield Council's Mini Holland cycling scheme. Marketing guru Miss Osmond is also incensed by what she sees as the council's attempt to ride roughshod over local businesses that she is running for a political office on May the 22nd, based on her fear that changes to parking and traffic flow through the borough could decimate shops in Winchmore Hill. Ms Osmond of Old Park Riding said, "I don't think the council values local businesses. In my experience over the past few years working with lots and lots of local businesses, I know a lot of them are really struggling as people's lifestyles have changed so much now that more and more people rely on the internet for all their shopping. We spent a lot of time driving home the message that people can buy a lot of stuff locally, and all that good work could be undone if parking is taken away." Miss Osmond, who is standing for Winchmore Hill Ward, recently gave a presentation on the dangers posed by the current cycling proposals to local businesses, stressing that parking equals people equals pounds. She says that local anger over the possible changes has not been addressed by the mainstream parties, and that is where she could offer people a viable alternative. "I'm pretty well known in the local area. I already work closely with residents, and I feel I know the area better than most of the current councillors do."
The next candidate is Mr. Gary Kusulu. "I want to make Enfield a better place," is one independent candidate's mantra as the countdown to the May 22nd election begins. Mr. Kusulu, who campaigned last year to clamp down on cyberbullying throughout schools in the borough, is standing in Southbury Ward. The businessman, who runs Good Looking Optics in Jennerton Road, Enfield Town, wants to run his campaign on a positive platform, providing an alternative to what he sees as the cynical politicking of the mainstream parties. "Our sense of community in Enfield is huge," he said. "Enfield is such a green borough. It has brilliant parks and schools." Mr. Kusulu also believes that with the cuts to local government funding continuing to bite, the council needs a business brain to help it weather the storm over the next 4 years of belt tightening. "When you run a business, you become resourceful," he said. "You become creative. And I believe with a little bit of a push, we could easily become the best borough in London." Although he agrees with fellow independents Helen Osman and Costas Georgiou about the potential damage changes to parking and traffic flow could have on shops in the borough, Mr. Kusulu said that if elected, he won't be towing the line of any political party, instead remaining an authentic, independent voice. "I want to be a positive force, not negative. I want to change Enfield for the better," he added.
Next we have Rick Jewell. Mr. Jewell is standing on May the 22nd after his neighbours suggested he should do so. The 50-year-old from Hoe Lane, Enfield, is hoping to be elected in Turkey Street Ward, where last year sinkholes appeared in a park across the road from his house, and he was thought of as the main bearer of information to fellow residents. The Royal Mail HGV driver says he is standing as an independent because of the National Party's handling of the privatisation of the business. "I'm really disappointed. I think we were shafted over that sale," he said. "I think local people need to step up and get up on local issues. There's no divide between the national parties. There's no reason why we can't do that nationally as well." Mr. Jewell, who is a trade union representative, volunteers for the borough's Youth Offending Service and was part of the panel that helped decide how young rioters were punished after the unrest of August 2011. The former Enfield Grammar School pupil also sits on the Enfield Safeguarding Children's Board, is a lay judge for the Ministry of Justice, part of the Reserve Forces Appeal and Reinstatement Committee, and is a trustee of Enfield Citizens Advice Bureau. The grandfather of 5 added that he wants to see more police on the streets. "Since the new local policing model came in the last 6 months I've seen my PCSO pass my house only once," he added.
And finally, this is from Marian Lukaski. The Polish national says he wants to help foreigners by standing as an independent candidate in Ponder's End. Mr. Lukaski of Southbury Road moved to the UK 10 years ago. The 59-year-old has also lived in Germany, says he wants to help people in his multicultural ward to get along. And the construction site traffic marshal said that he would like to see more sports facilities in the area. In Ponder's End, we don't have a proper sports centre. Mr. Lasky, who is also a wrestling coach and has worked as a PE teacher, it would be some solution for young people because they have nothing to do after school. On the Polish website, Polscott24, he says that tackling crime is his priority and that he would like to see the introduction of neighbourhood watch and citizens' patrols in his ward. He also speaks Russian and German. He told the Advertiser he has experience working in trade unions and has even taken one case to the European Court of Human Rights in Strasbourg. I want to help the foreigners. I know many Polish people who can't communicate in this language, and there is discrimination against people who come from Europe. We, foreigners, English people, must find some solution to live together peacefully, and we must find a friendly solution.
The takeover of the hospital trust responsible for managing Barnet and Chase Farm hospitals is expected to be approved. A public meeting will see GPs from the Enfield Clinical Commissioning Group, CCG, gather to discuss a deal that will lead to the Royal Free NHS Foundation Trust acquiring Barnet and Chase Farm Hospital Trust by July. The acquisition comes after it was announced by the government that hospitals must become foundation trusts this year, and trusts must also be financially stable. However, Barnet and Chase Farm Trust currently has a deficit of £32.5 million and faced an almost impossible chance of becoming financially stable alone. The Royal Free in Hampstead tabled a bid to take over the trust in mid-January and submitted its case to the NHS Trust Development Authority, which is now being assessed. Documents published by the CCG state that financial plans are commercially confidential, leading to criticism from Monty Myth, the life president of Enfield Over 50s Forum. He said, "Nowhere in the papers can we see a financial plan or forecast about how this deficit will be tackled. This would not be the case if this was in the private sector. There has been no public consultation because not enough has been widely broadcasted by the authorities that this is taking place. There would be more opposition if people knew about it. Mr. Myth is also concerned that money will be spent by the CCG during this takeover and fears that this will come from their NHS funds." He added, "We need to know if there is money coming from the CCG into this and how that will affect services. We do not have confidence that this will become profitable, and that would mean a loss of services in the area, something which we cannot afford to see." The Royal Free London NHS Foundation Trust said, "The Trust is planning to acquire Barnet and Chase Farm Hospital's NHS Trust because it believes it can deliver world-class care to patients in Barnet and Enfield. As part of the acquisition process, local commissioners, including Enfield CCG, are being asked to formally approve the transaction. If the proposed acquisition does go ahead, from the 1st of July, the Royal Free London NHS Foundation Trust, comprising of the Royal Free Hospital, Barnet Hospital and Chase Farm Hospital, will have a statutory duty to deliver a high standard of care and to balance its books."
The old Southgate Town Hall will be turned into flats after it was approved by a planning committee in spite of opposition from residents. Members of Enfield Borough Council's committee voted in favour of turning the building into 19 flats, as well as a new 3- and 4-storey block of 18 homes, which will sit behind the hall in Green Lane's Palmer's Green. Jennifer Yanaris of Palmerston Road has slammed the plans and said the new block of flats would impinge on her privacy. She said when the old town hall was sold off, we feared it would be housing, but there are several issues with the design. As well as taking away the town hall, there will be 18 new flats built in the 3- to 4-storey high building. This is outrageous and will drastically reduce the view from our garden. Enfield Southgate MP David Burrows has shown his support for the residents' concerns, and he admitted he was disappointed by the decision. He said, "We are disappointed and feel let down by the decision that the council has made. We're in desperate need of school places in the area, and this has been disregarded by the council. Residents are now faced with having to pay a high price in having a building on their doorstep that completely disregards the town hall's architecture. Now we must make sure that we push for GP services and school places to be made a priority for Palmer's Green. Building work will commence this summer and is due to be finished towards the end of 2015.
Well, we don't very often read letters, but here is one that we thought that you might find interesting. The announcement that a new war memorial to servicemen and women who gave their lives for their country after the Second World War is to be welcomed. This project has been long in the making. However, some veterans are unhappy with the council's choice of site, St Michael's Green, Chase Side. They feel it will be hidden away from the town centre. One thinks immediately of Enfield's more prominent war memorial, Windmill Hill, Chase Side, and the one more recently erected facing the Civic Centre, commemorating the Arctic Convoy veterans. Surely, the veterans asked, it would be more appropriate to consider this latter site, where it would be seen by the general public, some of whom are related to the post-war fallen.
May Day celebrations in Southgate will include traditional and modern dancing, family activities and a chance to mark the 100th anniversary of the First World War. Organised by Christchurch Southgate, the fair will take place on Southgate Green on Monday, May the 5th, between 11 a.m. and 4 p.m. The church has had support from the Explorer Scouts, the Highlands and Southgate Squadron Air Training Corps and the Southgate Green Association to make the May Day event a regular fixture. Not only will the fair include a plethora of stalls and games, such as crazy golf, a climbing wall, train rides, go-karts and face painting, but it will also commemorate the start of the First World War. Entertainment in the arena will include traditional maypole dancing, as well as street dancing by Streets Ahead, performances by the Latimer School Drama Group and the Acorn Theatre Group, and demonstrations by Enfield Chase Dog Training Club, and a drill followed by the Air Cadets Band.
A college has received praise from inspectors for the level of training provided to apprentices. Ofsted judged the quality of courses and teaching in business management and accounts at the College of Haringey, Enfield and North East London as outstanding. The week-long observation by 11 inspectors also found that the management of the college, which has campuses in Hertford Road, Pondersend and Tottenham, was outstanding. The report said, leaders and managers have taken exceptionally effective action to bring about improvements in the quality of provision and have high expectations of teachers and learners. Also judged was the college's provision in all other areas, including courses in sciences and tourism, and the overall rating was good. Jane O'Neill, Cornell's interim principal and chief executive, said, "Our significant improvement is a major ongoing journey that includes the whole college, partnerships and communities." As part of the college's £13 million investment in facilities, the Enfield site has seen the completion of a hub offering extensive support to students and a construction centre, as well as hairdressing and beauty salons, computer suites, cutting-edge music and media facilities, and high-tech science laboratories. The college is investing another £3.3 million to build a sports centre and library at its Ponders End campus, which is expected to be completed by September. Ms O'Neill added, "We want to make sure that our sports and learning facilities are exceptional, ensuring that we become the college of first choice for all learners living in Enfield and Haringey." And you can find out which courses the college offers if you visit www.connell.ac.uk. And Connell is spelled C-O-N-E-L.
Campaigners occupying a patch of woods on the site of a 231-home housing development are on high alert despite rumours of plans to evict activists proving unfounded. Environmental activists who joined the Save Cat Hill campaign and set up camp in and around the site in Cockfosters said they had been told by representatives of housing developer London and Quadrant that some of their tents would be forcibly removed. However, the protesters tweeted that the morning had passed off without incident, but the camps were on high alert. The protesters, who are part of the same group that successfully reopened Friar Barnet Library in 2012, have vowed to peacefully resist any attempts to remove the group. Occupier Danny G said, "They just said that the police told them that they can move our tents and that we had to move because if we put up a fight we will be aggravating the situation. It is an illegal eviction attempt if they do not have the proper papers to serve us. Usually if you sit down and link arms, that is a way to resist. It is going to be an opportunity to raise awareness of the campaign." Members of the Save Cat Hill group fought a long-running battle against the L&Q plans until they were finally approved by Enfield Council in March last year. When building started in February, they set up a permanent protest camp outside the site. Members of the Occupy movement joined the fight last week, setting up camps in the woodland, inside the development site and on the grass verge outside. An L&Q spokesman said, "We are concerned about people camping on our land. They risk damaging this important woodland habitat for protective wildlife, which we all want to protect. We hope that they will recognise this and move on of their own accord. We are also exploring a range of legal options."
We have now reached the end of side 1 of this tape. Please stop your machine now, take out the cassette, turn it over and start side 2.